next year. So some of the things that my school does, I'm at St. Luke's in Oviedo, Florida, and I think they do just a phenomenal job with Holy Week. So we have Palm Sunday, and the students have palm branches and they wave them. Many, many churches do that. And then part of the school week on Monday, the student council, the middle school student council, does a Symbols of Lent service where the whole school comes together for, well, the whole school K to 8 comes together for. Then K to 8 comes together again on Tuesday for the third graders to present From the Cradle to the Cross to show the story of Jesus's life and ministry here on earth and what he's done for us. And then on Wednesday, so today, we had the Seder Supper where we took a look at Passover, and the students and adults got to taste each element that was part of the Seder meal, the Passover meal. And we talked about what it meant then and what it means now that we know that Jesus will rise again, that he has risen again. Tomorrow we have the service of darkness because we don't have school on Friday. And then in addition to doing all those things together as a school, we do our own things in our classrooms. And then of course, we have church opportunities as a congregation throughout the weekend, including and ending with Easter. So when we come back, classrooms oftentimes have Easter parties. So what are some of the things that you do, Michaela?
So we changed kind of our chapel schedule. So instead of people coming in to do specifically just chapel for the kids, we actually do all the church services starting at the first Lent service. And then all the way through, we change this week instead of Wednesday, we'll have church or chapel on Thursday so that the kids can all do the Monday, Thursday church service. One thing too, if you haven't done it yet in your own personal classroom, I encourage you to walk through, even just during like your calendar time with younger kids, especially if you have a time like that, to kind of walk through like this is what Monday, Thursday is, and then this is what Good Friday is. This is why we have these days off, and then kind of all the way through Easter Monday. It's a good time to kind of do a quick little refresher of some of those special days, and helps the kids kind of understand, oh, like that's why Easter break is what it is. So we do that. We don't have any like specific like student-led things specific too, but it is typically around the time of like our musicals, and those always have like a Christian kind of stance to it. So the lower grades normally do some cute little songs that then everybody gets to come see and oodle and ogle at all of them singing all cute up front. Way cuter than any of us could be. And then the big kids do some different ones that this year one of them was based off of your mission and how everybody has a mission. And so then they were all like waiting at the school bus, but the school bus wasn't coming. And then they found a mission note and they had to kind of do that. So there's always those around this time of year. And then in the classroom, we also do resurrection eggs, which are fun and a really easy thing to add into your day because it's just a quick, short little devotion. You get to talk about a specific part of the Easter story, read a little bit of the Bible, and then end it with a quick prayer. And it's a great way to get through the whole story without needing to take up a huge amount of time or try to do a big project.
Yeah, I went ahead and I grabbed my resurrection eggs or the Easter eggs here. Just to show people if you don't know what they are, it's 12 eggs and each one has a symbol. So like this one, I just opened a random blue one, is a linen cloth. So that one will probably be for when Jesus is wrapped in the cloths and placed into the tomb. And each symbol has, like what Michaela said, a devotion that goes with it. And there's devotion, and I guess I showed the Spanish version. I had the book upside down. So there's the devotion, and then it gives what to look up, the verses to look up in the Bible as well. And by fourth grade, the students really like leading this. So a different student gets to present the egg of the day beforehand. And we count backwards. So on Easter Monday, we'll open the last one, which is empty for the empty tomb. And then we'll count like the 11th one we'll do this Thursday, the 10th one we did today, and so on, to help them anticipate Easter.
Mhm.
And then we also go through what each day is. My fourth graders make these little foldable booklets. And so I have a list of each day and what the Bible verses are that go with it. And it's a devotional for us. And ideally, it's something that the students can take home and do with their families as well, not only this coming weekend, but also hopefully in the future, because the days leading up to Easter Sunday is something that if we can go over that every single year, it helps us. Even this year on Tuesday, one of my coworkers was sharing a devotion during staff devotions on everything Jesus was teaching about on Tuesday. And I had forgotten some of the parables that were associated with that day because he did so much. And so it's really good for me to remember everything Jesus did that week. It was a very busy time. And it's a good opportunity to show the students how every single thing that Jesus did and said points us to his death and resurrection, and it points us to the new life that we get with him as well. So it's a wonderful, wonderful time of year. And I love it. So,
You mentioned that you guys do like an Easter party when you come back. What are some of the things you do for an Easter party?
okay, so for the Easter party, we sing Easter songs. We finally bring out the Alleluias and sing everything with Alleluia. Of course, we have snacks as well. And then we take palm branches and we have adults help us spray paint them onto a piece of paper. And so it shows the silhouette of the palm branch, and we will do multiple colors of it. And then students will take the palm branch off and it leaves the silhouette. And then they write poems that are like psalms, but in their own words. So, for example, instead of saying, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me," they might say, "Create a clean heart," or "Create in me a clean heart, O God, um, for I knew you make all things new." And because we're studying poetry, we start studying poetry now, even though April is National Poetry Month, so get ready for that. So we start that now, and then they get to add that there, and that will be our first poem up in the hallway for National Poetry Month, too. So we
Very
have
cool.
that craft. And then other things I change up depending on the year. But the palm branch thing is a staple, and it's something the kids look forward to each year because we've been doing it here for so long.
Very nice. Some other just general fun Easter things you can do. Leading up to Easter, this is one that I did when I was teaching kindergarten. You have each kid decorate their own egg, like just on a piece of paper, that then you have them cut out and you tape it to their seat. And you tell them that they have to help their egg hatch. And the way they do this is by sitting nicely on their egg, on their bottom with their feet on the floor. And you tell them that when they come back, if they sat nicely, that then their egg might hatch. And so then you could just take off the eggs, or if you want to be fun and like cut it in like a little cracked pattern, then you can set a little peep on their chair for when they come back and it's like they hatch their own little peep. But it can also be kind of a fun way to encourage your kids who can maybe be a little antsy during this time, especially if they didn't have a spring break, to kind of get them to sit down for a little bit and maybe make your life a little easier. I know they had a lot of fun with it. I didn't do it last year, but I did do it when I was teaching kindergarten and the kids loved it.
That's a great idea. I might do that, even though we
My
only
mom
have
did it with middle
tomorrow.
schoolers, so you can do it with any age.
I love it.
They all thought it was a little weird when she brought it up, but then they ended up loving it because they got a peep. So,
Right, right.
as you also go into Easter break, it is a good time to make sure that you are present. Esther kind of mentioned all the different church services and things that are going on. So if you are staying in town for Easter and you're not traveling to see family, being able to be at those services and be seen, especially if your kids are participating in any of the services. I know that some of our kids, for choir, they get to go sing a song that they've been working on at school. And so if you're able to make it to those services, especially and kind of be seen by those parents, that's always a good time to be doing that. And it's also important though to also take time and kind of have a refresh for yourself, whether you just had spring break or not, because I know I just got off of spring break, but I'm ready also for another one. It's important still to take that time and see your family and not be completely absorbed by school, even though there might be a lot of things going on there, making sure you're still taking care of yourself as well. Because this is a lot of times the last break before like that last push until the end of the year. I know that we'd only have, I think we have a half day for Grandparents' Day, and that's it. So till the end of the year. So you can really kind of get stuck in a little bit of a rut here if you don't give yourself that time to kind of catch yourself back up and be ready to come back in and really make it to the end of the year. Keeping that in mind, you don't want to do schoolwork over your break, so neither do your students. Try to not assign any homework or any projects for while they're at home celebrating with their families. Give them that time to kind of relax and have a break. Even if they just had their spring break, they still want their Easter break too. I promise. And then when you come back, if you had to leave off in the middle of anything, just making sure you plan time to review whatever you left off in the middle of. I know I'm leaving off kind of in the middle of a shape unit, kind of right before the test. So we'll just kind of spend the short 4-day week reviewing, and then we'll just do our test at the end of the week instead of kind of making them jump right back in, which seems a little unfair. So making sure you just kind of look ahead in your plans. So if there's anything you need to review or anything you need to finish up ahead of time, hopefully you already have that figured out if you're finishing it ahead of time. But
And then when you come back from break, it's also a good time for you to review your curriculum maps and your standards, especially if you haven't looked at them in a while, because you still have 1 quarter left, so a fourth of the year left. So look back and make sure that you're planning according to what you haven't done yet, in addition to reviewing. You might notice that, especially if this is your first year, maybe you didn't know what you needed to be teaching. So you might not be able to teach it all. If you realize that you have only taught half the standards in a certain subject like science, you might not be able to get to all of them well. And so talk to the teachers in the grade ahead of you and ask them what you need to prioritize for this last quarter so that you can prepare your students for their class. Because it might be the case that they really review a lot of the life sciences, but they don't review physics. And so you're going to adjust, you can adjust based on that. So you don't have to feel as overwhelmed if the next teacher is going to be reteaching a certain unit anyway.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
And if you're kind of at the end of that third quarter, getting ready for your fourth quarter, some schools have mandatory parent-teacher conferences again at that time. Some schools don't. I know that my school does not, but it's important to kind of take the time as a teacher to sit and think, oh, are there any parents that I want to sit down and have time to partner with? And make sure that we're on the same page as we go into this last quarter of the school year, to kind of help them set the student up for success in the years to come. So if there is something that you're like, oh, I was really hoping by the end of third quarter, this kid would have kind of made it to this reading level or whatever it is, being able to sit down and have time to talk with those parents is important, even if you as the teacher are the one who has to reach out and have it. A lot of the times parents don't necessarily know where their child is at or where you expect them to be by the third quarter. That doesn't mean anything to them. They just know where they kind of maybe want their kid to be by the end of the school year. So making sure you're setting up those conversations, and if you notice that maybe some extra help over summer could be helpful, if you're able to prepare and have that conversation as well at this time, that can help parents make sure if there's any programs that they need to get signed up for or, you know, if they need to make sure they plan their summer a certain way so they can attain, like go to a camp or whatever, that you've given the parents enough of a heads up that they're able to plan their summer accordingly for the success of their child.
And this is also a really important time of the year to make sure that you've filled out all of the forms that parents have asked you to fill out for pediatricians, especially if you've recommended them to see a pediatrician. Um, you, at this point, have a good understanding of where your students are and where they should be. And so if you need to recommend a parent talk to their pediatrician about certain behaviors that you're noticing so that that child can get help before just throwing them to the next teacher without those supports, do it. You want to be able to support the teachers that you're sending the students to by having the conversations with parents now. And if you, like what Michaela said, if you think a child needs tutoring or some other support, coach the parents through this so you can say why you think it and what specifically would help. So instead of just say, oh yeah, they need reading tutoring, well, that might be the case, but is it because they're not
Comprehension or their
comprehension
fluency
or
or
yeah. So go into more detail with them so that they can give a potential tutor that information or doctor that information as well. So, then, for your own sake, make sure that you are turning in all of your professional education hours for the year. I know sometimes I have gotten behind on turning those in, and that is not good. Your school will likely help you submit those or submit them for you, depending on what state you're in. And you need those professional education hours to stay certified or to get certified, and depending on what kind of certification you're going for. Also, if you're student teaching right now, or you're teaching in a different state from where you got certified, then you need to make sure that you're figuring out what you need to get or stay certified. So you might have certain tests to take or retake, and you need to make sure that you're scheduling them before the cutoffs. So like in Florida, you need to get recertified before June. So everything runs on a 12-month calendar. And if you're taking a test, it might take a month to get test results before you can actually file for a professional certificate. So you have to schedule, you have to think ahead and schedule everything that you need in advance. So just be mindful of that. It's something that sometimes gets forgotten in the day-to-day because it's something you need to do for yourself and your own certification. And every teacher's at a different stage of that.
definitely. And as you're kind of thinking about summer, it's always fun to do a countdown some way with your kids. In my classroom, we counted up to 100, so we added a number each day until we got to 100 days of school, and that kind of sat there for a while. And then I've now taken it back, and now we'll take one down every single day until the last day of school. So kind of a fun way to get kids excited, but it's also manageable. I know myself, and doing something every single day was kind of a lot the one year I did that. But there are some fun things that you can do, like a ABC countdown, which is 26 days until the end of the year, and then you do something that goes with the letter for each one, and then you have to like zoom out of school on the last day of school or whatever you choose for your D. If you do choose to do like an ABC countdown that's a little bit longer, my one suggestion would be to pick some days that are just kind of like W is watercolor day, and you just get to do some watercolor for art class. It doesn't always have to be like, oh, everybody gets to bring their swimsuit and we get to throw water balloons at each other and turn it into a huge thing. Because if you do that every single day, you still have 26 days that you're trying to get something accomplished in, and you don't want that to completely derail everything you need to finish up also. So finding kind of fun, easy ways, they'll be just as excited, especially little kids, if you're like, wow, watercolors. And you really, get it exciting by telling them and showing them a calendar, and they can track what day it is and what letter. They'll just be excited about that part. And it's just fun to be able to do something new. But making sure you just pick something that works for you. There's also like a balloon countdown, and then you can pick whatever number you want to do, and you have balloons and you can pop them, and they'll have different like rewards or things you can do as you do your countdown, like a flashlight day or pajama day or whatever you want to do. They can be big things, they could be little things. And then just start thinking about it now, even if maybe you don't want to do the 26-day countdown, making sure that you have the materials or whatever it is that you need. If there's something you're missing, parents love to donate towards these kinds of fun things. So if you have enough of a idea of where you're going, what rewards you want to do, and if you need any materials, getting like a sign up out there, parents would probably be more than happy to help make sure you have what you need to make the end of the year exciting.
It is an exciting time. You have a good relationship with the students by now. You know them, you know their families, and you can just enjoy this last quarter with them. So I hope you all enjoy it. Obviously, we're not going to take any outside questions today, but Al, do you have any?
Yeah, let me just interject maybe a couple things to see what the two of you think about this. One of the better, I think, student experiences that I saw for Easter kind of chapel in a high school setting, we had Stations of the Cross one year, and our high school students really engaged with that and were able to be grouped up, smaller groups. You know, we utilize the classrooms at the school and went around. It's also something that's possible to work with if you have a K-8 school, work with your middle schoolers so that they're presenting Stations of the Cross in different classrooms, age appropriate. You can take, you know, your first through fourth graders through in different ways and interact with them, and it builds that community. We also, depending on your school facility, you know, it's great sometimes if you have construction people in your congregation. A lot of us do, and they're looking for something to do. It's nice to kind of build a path that Stations of the Cross, obviously not only for Easter time, but different any time of the year that people can walk through and utilize that as time of prayer and reflection and go through that with each station along the way. An interesting concept that I've seen work well out there. Talked about the Easter eggs. You know, I think, again, depending on congregation size and some other elements, you know, working with your students to put a little note in the plastic Easter eggs and then go and drop them on the church pews before worship and have a little note inside, he is not here, he is risen, and kind of the name of the child who wrote it or whatever. You put that in, you put them on a bunch of pews. And then to kind of make it come back, if you ask those people who attended service and got one of those eggs, to put a little note of encouragement and a prayer in that egg for the remainder of the school year. And then you collect those back after worship, you know, the following Sunday, and put that big box inside the school. And students come through and grab an egg, and that becomes, you know, an encourager and a prayer where they open it up and gives them a little, hopefully, momentum and encouragement for the remainder of the year. But it becomes an interactive item back and forth, always looking for ways to connect congregation and school, right? So, a couple ways to do it there.
I like those ideas.
That's so fun.
Yeah. I've done the Stations of the Cross and it is so meaningful every time, but I've never done the back and forth Easter egg thing. That's really special.
Mhm.
We'll have to see if we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see because it also, you know, again, it just, people love that, right? Who doesn't like to write a little note, put it back in the Easter egg, and you know the child is going to receive that and open it back up again, and they recognize, you know, it's gifts of words of encouragement too. Sometimes we put up and we think, oh, is there a piece of candy or what is it? But no, it's a good way to speak with kids too about how we encourage one another through words and actions, and those are gifts, fruit of the Spirit. So, fun things to do. I always, as a teacher, I always felt like Easter time was one just spiritually, what a great walk, what a what a great reminder of just why we have Lutheran schools. We confront sin, right? Sin equals death. And to know that sin through Jesus equals eternal life because he went to the cross for us to carry all of those sins and rises victoriously. But in our Lutheran schools, it's law and gospel. You know, to the law, we are dead, and we get to really see that, experience. You know, here's Peter, who I'll never deny, and denies 3 times, and you see that earthly conflict and everything else, but ultimately the joy and victory that we get to show, and we know that ultimately we win. You know, we are in this world, but not of this world. And what a great message to really say why Lutheran schools. This week is why Lutheran schools. We confront sin. We seek absolution. We seek forgiveness, and we know the gospel message. We can't truly know the gospel unless we know the law. And we get to do that each and every day in our Lutheran schools, but so much so during this week.
Well stated.
Yeah. Other than that, you know, it's a fun week too with the kids, and kind of goes back to Christmas time. Watch the sugar, you know, they're out there. They're going to be out there and relax a little bit. I think sometimes, you know, we want to get so much accomplished and so much done. You can relax a little bit as a teacher, and truly, what do we always say about Lutheran schools? Yes, you know, we need academic excellence, so absolutely. But you also sometimes have to know that it's okay to relax a little bit and recognize the students also need that, and you also need that. And it's relationships. It's getting to know one another. It's having fun together. And we get to do that this week in a serious way to understand it, and in a fun way to also understand it and what's going on. And they will want to come back after Easter, right? And they want to say, just like Christmas time, and oh, I got this or I got that, or this is going on, and I got to see my family, and I haven't seen my cousins forever, and they came over. And let them talk, you know, let them talk, and encourage that. Let them do the things that you guys were talking about. I love all of that, and it is about that fun and joy together.
Well, and often, kind of like what you're saying, they want to come back and share. If you give that share time, often that can help prevent their share time from being in the middle of when you want to try to actually share something yourself. But it's crazy that they really do just want to have that time to share with their friends. And if you just take 5 minutes at the beginning of the day when they come back, the change that'll set in your classroom for the rest of the day can make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let them get it out, let them release it, and have a good time with it, and then know after that happens, it's all out. So it won't interrupt at places that you don't want it to, and you do have work to get done yet. As both of you said, you know, you're in the fourth quarter. Sometimes you get back and you think, oh, we just had Easter, we had spring break. Oh, that's right, we still have a fourth of the year to go. Doesn't seem like that, but it is. And you've got to get that mindset. You have to be ready for it, and it can be a little bit of a long haul too, right? Because we come off all the breaks. There's not a great deal of break now in that fourth quarter until the end. So you have to be ready for that, and that mindset and that energy. Thankfully, the weather gets a little bit better and things change a little bit. Get to see that outside. You know,
I don't know. My weather's great.
I was gonna say, unless you're year round,
Unless you're where it's always sunny all the time.
out of like 4 feet of snow at this time of year. But
I know Minnesota just had some snow days, so you could really.
Exactly there. They dig out all the time there. But yeah, it's you got to get ready for that though, and it's the mindset. I love what two of you said, especially if you're in your first couple of years of teaching. Don't look at it and say, "Oh no, this is I have all this left to do, and now I'm going to try to cram it all in." that will be painful for you and it will be painful for the students and it's counterproductive. Figure out what do I really need to cover. And the way to do that, you did a great job of saying, talk to the next grade level teacher and say, hey, this is where I am. This is what we have to cover. Can you help me make a plan for the rest of the school year and make that happen?
Yeah. And they'll want to help you because they'll want their kids to be prepared for them. So,
right. They won't ignore you because they want to make sure that the students coming in, and otherwise they get frustrated. And the way to make a happy colleague is to have that conversation and not have that student enter their class in the fall and they're covering something and the student goes, I've never heard of that before.
right.
And it's better to pick what you have time for and actually teach whatever it is the two of you decide is worth the time than to try to like quick brief over everything, because they're not gonna remember any of it. If it's just a quick like 2-day thing, they're not gonna think back to that when they're asked the next year, oh, you talked about this, right? They're all gonna be like, no. So really thinking about which things it's worth spending that time on, you'll get more bang for your buck, even if maybe you're missing one thing.
Yeah, make a note to yourself too for next year, because that's one of the big things in the first, well, I did it every year of my teaching, because we always get to different places. I never ended the same place twice, I don't think, because, different things happen. But I would always make a note to myself of, okay, I hit this, I didn't hit that. I should think about this next year, because I really didn't give that enough time. So you're part of that end of the year cycle is evaluating going into next year and saying, okay, I need a little bit different game plan. This worked, that didn't work. And then, of course, the next year will unfold differently anyway, because you have different students, different events, different things happen. But at least you had a little reflection to prepare yourself for it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's nice not just to write yourself a little note, but if you need to change an activity, I'll make a copy, put the year on it. And so I have some copies for 2025 with a question mark because I haven't finalized it yet, but I've made the edits from this year for next year already based on how the activity went. So they're ready to print off as long as I decide I want to keep it the way that I changed it. And that helps me because without the notes and without changing it right away, I might forget. And then I might make the same mistake 2 years in a row. And that's not going to help any of my students. So we might as well take the 2 minutes to reflect on each lesson and you'll be better off for it.
That's how I learned how to do that, because I maybe made the same mistake twice and finally learned.
Yeah, I have two.
But yeah, that's a great way to do it, especially if you keep things in Google Docs and stuff too. And you put a little comment there and little notes, and that's a great way to do it and have everything in one place.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think great conversation. We've got the rest of Holy Week coming up here, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, Saturday, always the reflection time. We had a teacher one time say that descended into hell. Isn't that, contemplate on that. What is going on at that time with Jesus? And and you said that, Esther, you're talking about what he did on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
But think about all that time and just, what is happening in his life as we go through this in terms of just so much. And I think every year, no matter how many times you've been out this, how many times you cover the story, how many times you talk about with students, there is always something more to learn and something more to and to wrestle and grapple with in terms of our faith walk and our faith lives. And just that time of year, again, it was always one teaching, it still is one, obviously, for me to just reground and regroup and go through this week in a faith walk that really sets me up until Christmas time. To be
Yeah.
honest, you know,
Mhm.
you just so much there to take a look and reflect on. And what a joy in our Lutheran schools. We get to do that with one another. We get to do it with our kids, with our families, and they get to experience that with us and also through us in the activities, words, and the events. And how special is that as Lutheran schools? We get to do that not just this week, but every day and every week. So thank you for another great episode here. Some thoughts and ideas. I'll let the two of you, you're used to opening, you're used to closing and doing everything in between. And I kind of jumped in after who knows how many months away and I put some gum in the works or whatever you call it here, right?
No, we appreciate it. We
No,
really do.
Oh, it's fun.
perfect.
It's fun to be a part of this and interject. You two are gracious enough to let me interject from time to time. I appreciate it.
We really like that you do that because we all have different experiences and ideas, and
Mhm.
we're
That's what
better
we do, right?
when
Yeah.
we come together.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have sessions. It's why we have the different groups because we learn and grow together so that we grow in the vocation. And we never want to reinvent the wheel. Share what works. Always
Right.
look for the best of the ministry. So
For
I'll let you
sure.
guys out in prayer. I don't know how you've been doing this. I watched the prior episodes just to let you know. I did catch up.
Nice. Good job.
That's awesome. Well,
Just
we
don't quiz
thank
me
you
on
all.
it.
We are thankful for everyone who watches and listens. We hope that it was helpful. Our next one will be on April 18th, that third Thursday. So hopefully you can join us for that. Let's finish today in prayer. Dear God, thank you so much for this time to talk about what is upcoming this year. We thank you for this time to reflect, especially on what your son did for us around this season, for his death on the cross and all that he endured when he went down and he fought the devil and he really fought for each and every single one of us. We thank you for the time to think about what he's done and really reflect on that. We ask that you bless everybody's Easter break, allow them to have restful time at home, seeing their loved ones and spending time with people that they love, and to bring them all back safely to their schools when they return. All this we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you. Oh,
All right, I just stopped recording. Great job. Wow, that was
Sure.
awesome. A lot of great ideas.
great
So,
time of year.
are the two of you going home for Easter, or are you going to what's
I'm
happening
staying with my
this Easter?
husband. It'll
Yeah.
be my first Easter without my parents. It was my first spring break without them. It'll be my
Oh.
first Easter without them. But my dad visited for spring break, so that was nice, and brother. I'll be singing and playing trumpet for the whole weekend.
Wow, nice.
Be
Very
fun.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm meeting my brother at my parents' house with our spouses, but my parents actually left their house today to go to Virginia because the grandchild trumps the other two children, I guess.
I feel
So
like
it was so funny. I was on the phone with her a few months ago when she booked the flights, and she's like, "Oh yeah, for my spring break, we're gonna go to Virginia." And I was like, "Oh great, when's your spring break?" And she was like, "Oh, like it leads into Easter." And I was like, "Oh, so you're in Virginia for Easter?" "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Thanks, Mom." So we're gonna go take over their house, and we're gonna meet in Minnesota because that's kind of the middle point for me and my brother. But
that'll be good.
we got ditched.
Frozen Totino's pizza in the freezer for you for Easter.
Right? I was like, okay, well, do you have food at the house or do I need to go grocery shopping when I get there? In the snowstorm that you guys just had.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's great.
So, but they just got there today, so they're enjoying some grandbaby time now.
Good.
Oh, good.
Well, they've
But
got of you, you know.
Yeah, they forgot to let us in on the plans. I was like, oh, okay, well, and my husband has class on Monday, so we have to be back. I'm like, I'm not buying a
Oh,
flight for 2 days in Virginia. That seems a little ridiculous. So driving to Minnesota was a little bit easier.
oh,
But
Yeah.
it'll be good. It'll be nice to see my brother and his wife. So,
plus, you can like TP their house or something like that.
right? I gotta come up with something creative because seriously,
Over the place. Do something.
I'm like, people.
Oh, that'll be good. Well,
What are
blessed.
you and your family doing?
So we're actually going down to see our kids in Arkansas. So we're
Nice.
Fun.
tomorrow afternoon. I've got some meetings in the morning, and then whenever I get out of here tomorrow, we are going to drive to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Yeah,
Fun.
seen them for a while. Actually,
Sounds warm.
Christmas time. So yeah, it should be warm. Should be nice. It's weird because, and Esther, you know this from Florida, the sun's just different. I mean, when you go south, even in Arkansas, which doesn't seem necessarily that far south, but it's
Different.
warmer, the sun's a little bit different, the angles and stuff. So it'll be nice.
Yeah.
Big-
Good.
Mm.
And are you staying for a while?
So we are coming back Easter Sunday, so we're taking them
Okay.
out to Easter brunch with their friends,
Good.
Fun.
feed the lot of them, and then they'll be done with us. They'll say that you fed us, and we don't really need to see you. We just need to see the credit card and some things, be fed, and then you can be on your way. That's
That's
all
all
good.
good.
Yeah.
How old are they again?
They are the 22 and 20.
Okay. Is the 22-year-old about to graduate?
She is. Yeah, she graduates in May, so we'll be back down there in just a few weeks for her
Good.
graduation.
Exciting.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Seems so odd.
Yeah. Does she have a job lined up?
Oh, she doesn't even know what she wants to do.
Yeah, that's okay.
I keep saying eventually she'll probably go back and get a teaching degree. She just wanted to buck the system until, But-
We've all been there.
yeah. And, she's getting a degree in psychology and, what is it? Psychology and event planning and hospitality,
Mm.
Oh, nice.
which means you can go to work for Starbucks or
And
McDonald's.
Disney.
Well, yes. I mean, she did that stint at Disney, so she still is talking about that too. She's talking about teaching. We're just talking about, how about a job insurance? That'd be nice.
Right.
Think about that maybe.
Yeah.
That's
At
it.
least there's no like pressure when it comes to insurance because you still have it for a little bit under you as long as you're willing to pay.
Yeah,
So,
26. So we said
26. Magic number 26.
gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
But our son is on a path to. He already got accepted to a master's program, so
Wow.
he's prepped for that, finance and accounting. So we
Oh,
told her, be nice to him so he can live in his basement.
good. There you go.
I don't
Yeah.
live in my parents' basement. I live in my brother's basement. It's way better.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Nothing wrong with that.
That's why I just don't have a basement. Then they can't crash with me because
There
right
you
now
go.
I'm the only one of 4 that has a job. So
Yeah, see, well, I'm never too, Chris is much more, well, what is she gonna do? She needs to get a job. Well, yeah, you figure it out eventually, right?
Yeah.
hopefully.
Otherwise,
Too funny.
she'll either be living there in somewhere in Green Bay, or she'll be living down there in Oviedo, and you guys can deal with it. She'll probably-
Sounds good to me.
There we go.
Oh, that's good.
Well,
All
good to
right.
see you all. Thank you for doing this, and I'm glad that it worked out to do it on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
thanks for being flexible because I totally didn't even think about it. And then I was super sick. My spring break was a mess.
Oh, that's
Aw.
awful.
So
I
did
got
you
home
still
on
make it?
Friday and ended up with 102-degree fever. I was like, and
Ugh.
then it finally broke enough, and I knew I didn't have strep, so I went to Colorado for this conference because we needed a new science curriculum. Somebody's got to go check it all out. So I went, and it's like now I'm still just constantly tired. I'm like, I don't know how I am at school.
Or-
Man, one more
But
day, right?
right, I know. I'm like, good thing it's a short week because
Yeah.
I'm already ready to just go lay in bed.
Yeah. Ay, ay, ay.
So where in
And
Colorado was the conference?
it was in Denver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the National Science and STA one.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Did you find a curriculum that you're interested in?
well, we found a lot of curriculums, and a lot of curriculums are hopefully sending us different things to look at. And then in the next 2 weeks, hopefully they send something, and then we'll make a decision. But
Do you have to decide before next school year?
ideally, yeah.
Oh man, good luck.
So we'll see. Yeah.
Well, I've been testing out some, so if you need ideas, let me know.
Okay. We've heard a lot of good things about Nancy Larson for lower grades.
Mm-hmm.
And she's Christian based, which we liked. So that one we need to look into a little bit more. And then a lot of the ones at the conference were very kind of like, I don't know, more STEM experiment based kind of, which is kind of the newer way of doing it all anyways. So that
Or
was kind of fun to
phenomena-based.
see. Yeah. But also kind of being like, okay, but which one can you like actually realistically do in your classroom? Like I can't set up 25 experiments a week. So finding kind of the happy medium of, yeah, we'll transition to that, but also the fact that we probably have like 20-year-old science curriculum at the moment. So
Yeah,
nowhere near what that is in
ours is
terms of,
not good. It's as if it was written by a hodgepodge of all authors who did not know what fourth grade could read.
yeah. There was some we looked at that we looked at like the kids version, and it was like the kindergarten one, and it was like writing full sentences in like the first unit. And I was like, have you been in a kindergarten classroom?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. Well, good luck as you sort through all of that. Go to
Yeah.
Ed Reports.
Oh, okay.
They
I'll
might be
write
on
it down.
edreports.com, and not all science is on there. But it kind of
Okay.
like teachers say like what they liked and what they didn't about certain things.
Perfect.
Might be a nice place to start. And
Get
if
a
you go to Facebook, you can look for like, okay, Bridges curriculum group or Savas curriculum,
yeah.
and then go through there.
Yeah, and like some of it was so hard because it's like Savas has a new one coming out that's more like centers based kind of. So like if you don't have a time to do a whole bunch of science, that then you're able to kind of throw it into different spots of your day. But like they don't have it made yet. So
Right.
then we were looking at it and it's like this
Yeah.
is really hard to tell what this is actually gonna look like. So hopefully they send some more stuff and have some more stuff by the time they send it to us. But
Yeah. They're making a new Florida one now, and we have the copies, but they're not like, they haven't copied them yet, like, or printed them yet for next year. But I'm glad because I've already given them the feedback that in the teacher's book, it doesn't always say the student book page with
yeah,
it. You
I
have to
don't know
flip
how
back
people
and
think I'm
forth.
supposed to keep track of that sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, there are too many books for me to be flipping and opening to try to figure out what in the world you are talking about.
Yeah.
And then even worse when they go, oh, you can find this resource online.
Yeah.
That's not helpful unless your online is set up the same as this page that I am looking at right now.
Right.
As soon as your online looks different, that becomes a very frustrating phrase to see.
Yes. The search bars. As long as I can find the search bar,
I
I'm
have
good.
the search bar. And for
Anyway.
your search bar to work the right way.
Yes. Yes.
So hopefully we found something.
Yeah.
There's lots of good ones there, but just figuring out which one will fit with the teachers we have and things that they'll actually do and not waste a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, we're still finishing up that process, but we're down to 2. We just decided to go with Florida standards instead of national standards, so that took our resources down.
Yep.
Yeah. So good luck with it all.
Thanks, you too.
Blessings with it all. Yeah. All right. Well, good to see you guys.
Yep.
Yeah,
Have
you guys
fun.
too.
Have a great week. Blessed Easter, and we'll see you coming up. Let me know if you need anything in between.
Sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
All right. We'll see you.
Yep.
Bye.
All right, bye.